I'd like to now introduce you to our last speaker of the day, John Proctor. John and I was going to say go back a long way, but that would be suggesting that we're both very old. But yeah, John and I worked together at Telstra Clear many, many years ago. And he's had the job that probably quite a lot of us would like, which was the CEO of Telecom Cook Islands. Having actually been in there and talked to people, it wouldn't have been a bad place to work, would it? He's had senior roles across Spark, the Warehouse Group, 2 Degrees, obviously worked at Telstra Clear as well, and he's now the CEO of the RCG. So, John, over to you for your presentation.
Hey, thanks, Greg. That's a great introduction, apart from the old bit. I'm not sure about that. So firstly, welcome to my home, by the way. I'm from semi-rural Titirangi. We've cut for the COVID world, we've split our organization into two. And we've actually have two teams, one called Samurai and one called Ninja. And I'm in the Ninjas who are working from home this week. So that's why you've seen me there. Look, I think, by the way, Craig, thanks. You could be my mouse. So if it hits the first slide. Thanks. Look, RCG is, I think, just a great example of industry players collaborating together. We're owned equally by Vodafone, Spark, and 2 Degrees. So there's 3 competitors, but in our case, they're actually working together to create this organization. And we're partnering with the Crown, through Graham and the infrastructure partners. We're building rural mobile network throughout New Zealand under the RBI2, along with, as we've already heard, some of the WISPs as well. And I think it's great. I think the fact is that the build funding is provided through the Crown infrastructure, with network operators also contributing. And we're building in rural areas where any of the individual mobile operators wouldn't be able to afford to give New Zealanders access to these critical mobile and broadband services. They're in some of the most remote parts of New Zealand. What we do, for those who don't know, is we build a single tower, which is shared with the MNO, share the RAN and antenna on each of the towers, so-called MOCN, multi-operator core network. And that reduces the overall costs and also reduces the number of towers required. As a company, we're a team of about 50. We have about 50% of employees, so it's about 25 employees, and 50% contractors, condies from the MNOs with a wealth of experience. Fact is that we love what we're doing. We're passionate people about what we're doing and what we're delivering to New Zealand. Next one, please. So what are we doing? We're tasked with building and operating over 400 sites, covering approximately 34,000 rural homes and businesses across New Zealand. And also we're going to creating over 800 kilometers of in-state highways to receive connectivity, and over 100 tourist spots. And just stopping there, what that really means, you know, I was talking to Graham and I were at one of the sites, and we were talking to some of the fire services, and that really makes a difference, especially if you're talking to people who don't have service. We had the stories about how one of the people had to travel tens of miles to actually call for the fire brigade and for the ambulance services. So they're making real differences in terms of what we're doing, and I think that's something that I feel very passionate about, and I'm very proud to be part of. Look, it's not without its challenges. We're talking about remote locations, rugged terrain, and limited power supplies. But also, as a result, the team gets some of the most beautiful parts of New Zealand, and as you will see from all our backgrounds, as we have on here, they're fantastic. So, next one, please. It's been quite a year, so I think, you know, I joined in January, and I think we've moved, and I think anyone who was on this call last year, I think we were talking about 30s, if not 20s and 30s at sites. We currently have 143. In fact, texting to me right now, as I speak here, we're at 145. And I know Graham said to me earlier on, we're looking at about 150, and we will have 150 by the end of next week. So we've really, really moved on. It's got an impetus going. We're building around about 3 to 5 sites every single week. And that's significant. That's particularly significant when you think about it, that they're rural sites. They're in these places that we're in some cases we're having helicopter things in. So it's fantastic. As I speak, those 145, those serve around, the ones we've done, around about 12,000 homes. I would give about 450 kilometers of roads and about 29 tourist hotspots. Also significantly is we've switched on about 80 sites since March. So we've really, really moved that on over the last few months. Move to the next one. So this map just shows you whereabouts we've got our sites are at the moment. And you can see we've worked with CIP to concentrate on priority regions in Northland, Gisborne, Manawatu, Whanganui, West Coast and Southland. As we're talking about in the previous slides, we have over 400 sites in the acquisition phase, and we've got places such as Marlborough Sounds, I know it's one of the ones in the questions, Tararua, Coromandel, Bay of Plenty, Waikato, Wellington, and rural Auckland, and they're all being worked on right now as we go through. Next one, please. Right, so you recognise the minister in here. I've been a lot of talk about COVID, and I think COVID was significant to us. It was significant to us on a number of ways. I think firstly, during that first lockdown, we continued to build, and we turned on some 2,000 homes. And for just take a moment to think about that. Those were people who didn't have any broadband at all. So that's 2,000 homes who were locked down. They had kids, maybe they couldn't do schooling from home, they couldn't work from home. And during that time, we actually managed to put them online and they could get those access. And I think that it helped us as a company as well, move from just being just a delivery company to really understanding that we made a difference to those people and to their lives. And that stayed with us, by the way, as a group. I think it's actually made it more personal in terms of what we're doing, and made it more rewarding for the team that's really there. I'd like to just stop there for a second and actually just take a moment to acknowledge there's my team, which is doing a fantastic job, but there's also our build partners, people like Broad Spectrum, Connect 8, Downers, and all the people within Spark, Vodafone, and 2 Degrees. And they actually they do a fantastic job, and particularly during that COVID time, they all got behind us to help us deliver to those people. So thank you to those people. Thanks. Next. So during our time, we've actually got a heap of firsts. It's not just about putting up a cell site. We've been doing some cutting edge things as we're going through. So firstly, just the MNO collaboration itself. You know, we're 3 competing mobile operators and have actually worked together to design and implement this shared network, and it's worked really, really well. Secondly, we've done 3-way MOCN, which is on 4G. So as we've talked about before, MOCN is multi-operator core network, and that's really where we have common radio backhaul infrastructure. And what we do though is we use common radio spectrum. So that's what MOCN. We're also putting in 3G, and for that we're actually doing 3-way MORAN, and that's basically, yep, multi-operator using the radio network, but each operator actually uses its own spectrum. And again, we've done some of the things we've done in FIRST is actually put those 2 things together. So we've actually found ourselves cutting not only firstlings in New Zealand or Australasia, but sometimes in the world, because we have those two things for 3 operators on 1 tower. Seamless mobility handovers between 3 different mobile networks on a single tower. It may not sound much, but that was actually, again, quite a big first that we've actually managed to do, and we do it very successfully. 4G VoLTE. We were the first network that actually enabled VoLTE in New Zealand. And whilst that's now becoming wider, we were the people who did that first as we went through. And also four-way segregation. So what we have to do is we segregate between information. So whilst we have the three operators using the same infrastructure and the same network, the fact is that for each of those networks, they see what we have. They see our towers as part of their towers from a service point of view, and the information is kept confidential to them. So only they get to understand what's happening and what those services and operate those services on our system. Thanks, Craig. So you know, we've learned an awful lot as we've done this. Rural New Zealand is really remote. When we say rural New Zealand, we're talking about some of our things take about 4 hours to walk to, and you can't just go back and when something's not going right, you backwards and forwards. It's presented a logistical challenge, site design. The construction of some of the sites has been very challenging. We've had to look at different materials. Power coordination, I think Mike talked about that early on. One of the hardest things is actually being able to power up some of these things, both from actually running power cables from mains, but also looking at off-grid power systems as well. And I guess teamwork, you know, we recognize the teamwork's the most important thing that we have, and most certainly from my side, the team that we have actually has a very good feedback loop all the way through. And I think we've moved the team to understanding that it's a full team delivery, not just the people actually building it, but it's people acquiring the sites, the people actually working through the logistics and all the way through. And as we said at the bottom, did we mention the weather? I think we've had we have all weather, and including snow, and we've put up sites in snow and in rain as well. Thanks, Craig. I think one of the things that we have also done, though, is people don't realise we actually do wholesale too. And Mike, I was very pleased that Mike mentioned this. You know, we've been working really hard to work with the WISPs. In terms of working together, and it goes both ways. So we have 247 sites listed at the moment available for co-location, and we have 20 co-location applications from 5 separate WISPs as access seekers. And currently we have 4 co-location builds which are completed for WISPs. Not only that, we're actually in negotiations to purchase backhaul from the WISPs for our services as well. So I think that's a really good sign that we're working together and looking at the best for New Zealand. Next one, Craig. So look, I think we're set for success. We're a lean, experienced team. We're working alongside the contractors, and we're working alongside the M&O resources. We're building 3 to 5 sites every week, and we'll continue to do that until we hit our goals. We're challenging every part of the process, looking to gain efficiencies and cost reduction, and we're looking at innovative supplies and partnerships. And look, we have good stakeholder relationships. So for us, it is delivery, delivery, delivery. Now, I know I've gone through that quite quickly, and what I will do is just take 2 minutes just to tell you, you know, it's all about making a difference in people's lives. And I'm just going, I've just in front of me got some comments from people who have given us feedback. We had some people from the Northland who sent us some feedback saying the tower helped emergency services locate their swamp van in the middle of night during the big flood. Thank you so much. Ashton residents are fizzing, grateful and getting on with business in their new coverage. We've got, thanks so much. Importantly, helping us remote folks stay connected by livening up the site. Appreciate the communications, makes the world a better place. Someone in Outram, first time since I've lived here, I have full reception on my phone. So great, thank you so much. And it goes on. We've got lots of, remembering we're actually not the service company, so most of the comments will go back to the service companies, be that Vodafone, be that Spark, or be that 2 Degrees. So for me, look, I'm extremely proud to lead the team who is doing this. I think we've made great strides over the last year, and we will continue to make strides over the next year to deliver this to New Zealand and deliver the services to New Zealand, and continue to and work with all our partners, including the WISPs, to make that so. Happy to take some questions.
Well, thank you, John. I think you did make the point. You know, the number of sites that have been delivered in the last 12 months, you know, it wouldn't be out of place to say that certainly last year and the year before there were some questions around the delivery by the RCG. So great to hear that things are happening. And I'll ask you now, do you think you'll meet the original target that was set?
Absolutely.
That was an easy answer, wasn't it? Okay, there's a couple of questions here, and then I've got one as well. The same question was given to Graham and Mike, which was CIP provide quarterly build progress updates. Can you provide any insight on the actual uptake of RBI2 services?
No, actually I can't, and it's actually not my place to. So if you like, I can tell you how many customers I've got. The answer is I've got 3 customers plus a number of WISPs, because all the service information actually goes through to each of those companies. So we don't actually, we get, you know, the capacity in terms of how much in technical terms each of those is being used, but we don't get to know the you know, the uptake. That is a question for the either Spark, Vodafone, or 2 Degrees.
Are you able to talk about capacity usage? Because I presume you see, you know, when you launch a site, it's quiet and then things happen. Is there a sort of a curve uptake, or?
Yeah, look, I think there's. I think it's mobile is always interesting, right? Because you put it into a into a model, and you have a forecast that you expect, and in 98% of the time, that's actually how it goes, and that's fantastic. And then occasionally you get a high hockey stick, and you then have to sit down and work out what's going on. Why is it something? Is it because of uptake? Is it because of people taking mobile? And remember, we've got sites which are not just about about mobile broadband, but also we have some of the roadside sites as well where we've got those. So one of our busiest ones is in the Kaipara, which is actually a mobile black spot site, which is obviously being used by a lot of people on mobile black spot as well. So yeah, look, I think it's reasonably from a capacity point of view. It's as we expected. It's quite encouraging, but you'd have to ask the operators about the actual services and what that means in terms of services bought and sold.
Well, you are at the beginning of your project, but of the rollout. But there is a question here of with internet growth or use growth 44% per year, when one of your sites runs out of capacity, who pays to have the site expanded?
Right. So there is a budget. So firstly, as RCG, we're not just here to build the network. We're actually here to operate the network. It is our network, and there is a fund which is from us in terms of actually upgrading that network as well. I think the other thing that Graham talked about was the fact that we are looking at the spectrum that we have is from all 3 operators. So they've all put that spectrum in, and that gives us. So we actually do have on all our sites, we actually have a plan in terms of how we grow that capacity, be that through technologies and also through spectrum. as we go through. So yeah, look, I think we're, as I said, I think on 98% of the sites, fairly confident of that will be it. We'll always have surprises as we go through, and we'll deal with those as we go as we would operating any network.
Okay, here's a good question from my good friend Ivan from up the East Cape. How do you inform new communities that they can now connect?
Yeah, good, really good, Ivan. Really good question. Because so that again is what we do is we inform our operators. So actually, Caitlin, who's been medley answering questions for people here, will sends as soon as there's a site about to be live, then we send that through to our operators, and then they do the informing and the marketing themselves to their customers. So yeah, we don't do the chorus thing of sort of sending out a note to everyone saying you're now in this network and go see the operator. We leave that to our network operators.
Okay, it is a good question, because we have seen, and I know their logo's on the screen, but Chorus being very active in the market around as a wholesaler, about encouraging people to connect, and that they can connect, and they drop things in letterboxes, etc. Yeah.
And look, I mean, we have had conversations. I guess there's a whole, we're also quite a lean, mean machine. I'm not talking about myself. I'm just talking as a company, and I think that's to start actually marketing to individuals, to homes, is you start adding a whole load of OPEX and what have you to do that. So right now we're happy, and our shareholders are happy for us to leave that to our operators.
Okay. And one last question, looking to the future, at least 2 of your owners are public on their 5G rollout plans. Is that something that's coming on to you as well? About because I'm presuming that the technology that you've put in place is able to be upgraded to 5G.
Yeah, look, there definitely is able to be upgraded to 5G. But there is right now our plans is to get connectivity. I think that's the most important thing, and that's our connectivity that we're looking at the moment is 4G, and we're also looking at 3G. Because we recognise that that's what people use for the phone, especially in the mobile black spots. Funny enough, if you were to ask me, is yes, we could. At some point that could happen, but you've got to. It would be what's most important to the people in our areas, right? And I think actually Mike Smith touched on the fact that things like ITO may be more important to the rural people, and I think that's what we'll get as feedback from talking to through our operators, right? So it's what they want to do with the network going forward.
All right. Hey, thanks so much, John. Really appreciate you dialing in. And the great thing is with this type of event, you can come in from anywhere around the place.
Exactly. Fantastic. It would be nice if it was Rarotonga, I have to say, Craig, but that's not possible either.
Yeah.